This is the Vegas Huddle with Mike Davis.
Welcome inside the Vegas Huddle. I'm joined today by one of the all-time greats, a Hall of Famer with 10 titles in 6 different weight classes, ladies and gentlemen. He's the original pay-per-view king. He's the Golden Boy. He's the chairman and CEO of Golden Boy Promotions. The great Oscar de la Hoya joins us right now. Thanks so much for being here, Oscar. Let's dive right in. You know, to me, I think it's so fascinating. Growing up, we've had this concept, this idea of who a promoter is in boxing. For you in 2002 to decide in the prime of your career, I also want to tackle stuff going on outside the ring, is such a crazy thing. We've thought Don King with the crazy hair, Thrilla in Manila, you know, the Rumble in the Jungle. It was a different kind of thing. For you to tackle that in the prime of your career, I want to start there. What made you want to do that? What propelled you to tackle that?
Honestly, I literally had fought Fernando Vargas at the Mandalay Bay. I believe it was 2002 or 2001. And I remember the fight being so tough. And I remember not being able to walk for a few days afterwards because I was sore. I was banged up on my ribs. I just really literally couldn't move. And I said to myself, you know what? God damn, I cannot take this any longer. I'm maybe even thinking of retiring. Yeah. So what am I going to do after boxing that I really love? And it dawned on me that, you know what? Why not just become a promoter? Why not become a manager? And stay in the sport, help fighters out, give them some of my knowledge that I picked up over the years. And I first became a manager before a promoter. Yeah. So I got my feet wet there, and I got to know the business. I mean, I was literally, when I started Golden Boy Promotions in 2002, I was literally doing shows in a small hotel in Los Angeles, in Orange County. I remember setting up chairs around the ring. We had no TV whatsoever, so I wanted to learn the business first from the ground up.
And you did it the right way.
Yeah, and we did it the right way, and we got to know all the players, and we started promoting fighters, and here we are now, promoting the biggest fight of the year.
It's amazing. You know, Gervonta Davis, Tank Davis against Ryan Garcia. Let's talk about that real quickly before we dive into your career from the beginning. So, you know, this fight, you called it the fight to save boxing. You said in a prior interview, every decade there's a fight like this. Obviously, there's been a lot of commotion and build up to this, social media, them fighting and spatting on Twitter for a long time. Why is this the fight to save boxing?
Well, I mean, look, boxing obviously doesn't need any saving. You know, I've always said that, look, boxing's always going to be the pay-per-view king, no matter what. You know, when McGregor broke pay-per-view records with Mayweather, they fought in the boxing ring. Right. When Pacquiao Mayweather fought, they shattered records. They fought in the boxing ring. So I've always billed major fights as the fight to save boxing, because this type of fight is gonna take the pay-per-view numbers over the top once again. And you know, I remember back in the day when I fought Felix Trinidad, Don King and Bob Arum billed that fight as the fight to save boxing, and guess what? We shattered pay-per-view numbers. Right. So I strongly feel, and I don't know, it's a hunch of mine. I just felt like saying, you know, hey, this is the fight to save boxing, because I know it's going to shatter pay-per-view records.
How much of yourself do you see in Garcia? You know, 2 LA guys. You know, good looks. He's signed by Dior. There's a lot of similarities to me. Do you see a lot of that in a lot of yourself in him?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of similarities. But I think he's on top of it, man. I think that he's far more advanced than what I was when I was his age.
But see, that's hard for me to believe, because let's start from the beginning with you, because, you know, by the time you actually fought your professional first fight, amateur-wise, you had actually, before going pro, had a record of 223-5.
Right.
You started boxing at the age of 5, and you were naturally left-handed, but you were kind of coached to become more of an orthodox stance. You obviously, your dad, your uncle, I believe, were amateur fighters and fighters. So tell me a little bit, growing up, you're 5, you're starting for the first time boxing. What was that feeling for you? Why were you so excited as a youngster to be in the ring?
I actually wasn't excited. I mean, who wants to get hit as a kid, right? No, I stepped into the gym for the first time, and I just loved it. I just loved it. You know, even though I was getting hit and knocked down and punched in the face, for some reason, I just loved it. And I stuck with it. My father was a fighter. My grandfather, my brother fought. So fighting's in our blood.
Right.
And so I just remember fighting, you know, every other weekend, twice, 3 times a weekend. And I remember my uncles giving me a quarter or 50 cents after I would win, and I would tell myself, you know what, man, I can maybe make a living for this. You know, I can make some money here, some real money, and I just stuck with it. I love the sport. I love what it's all about, and you know, here we are now.
And me looking at your history, I think the big thing in talking with you privately, you know, the big thing is your mother. She died of breast cancer in 90, right? Yeah. And in 92, she had this, you know, hope for you to win the Olympic gold medal. And in 92, you do that in Barcelona. Yeah. The pressure, you said, of that, your mother wanting that for you probably surmounted any other pressure you had throughout the rest of your boxing career. Yeah. Tell me what was going through your mind when that happened, because you had to win 6 fights to get that gold.
To win the gold. Yeah, no, I had 223 amateur fights. I lost 5. And all those fights prepared me for the gold. I mean, that's the way I see it. But there's nothing that can prepare you for when your mother passes away right before the Olympic Games. So when she passed away, her final words were, "Look, hey, just go out there and get the gold for me," you know. And she passed away.
Right.
So imagine the pressure with that, you know. And I have to admit, look, over the years, boxing literally saved my life, because you can imagine how many times I was depressed over and over and over again, you know, because I'm a kid living in East LA, growing up in the streets, gangs everywhere, you know. And so my outlet was boxing. In order for me to let my frustrations out, I had to get inside the ring and beat somebody up, you know, and not go to jail for it.
Right.
So it was a very difficult emotional time for me. You know, people talk about like depression now, and they talk about overcoming, you know, their demons and this and that. Well, boxing really literally saved my life. And so when I went to the Olympics after my mom passed away, you can imagine the pressure just building up, you know, the pressure of the world wanting to see me win the gold medal for her. Because that was the whole story on the Olympics. On NBC, you know, everybody was like, oh my gosh, can Oscar do it for his mother? So I didn't know what I was doing. I just went out there and fought and did my best. And 6 fights into the Olympics, I'm fighting for the gold medal. I'm facing the only guy to beat me, which was a German, Marco Rudolph. The only guy to beat me in the last 9 years of my amateur career. And I was like, holy shit.
Wow. No, you can say that.
I'm like, holy shit, I'm facing this guy again.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he's keeping me from fulfilling my dream, and I got to take him out. So I did.
And you know how a lot of athletes say, well, you know, every fight's the same fight. There's not extra added pressure. In that moment, when you're in that ring facing that pressure, does it register, or does it just go back to muscle memory and it's what you've done all these 10,000 hours?
No, every fight is emotionally different. It is. Because, you know, there's fights where you feel extra confident. There's fights where you sometimes feel like, oh, my gosh, like I have an injury and I have to hide it and I can't tell anybody. But you go inside the ring not feeling confident, but you can't tell anybody. So every fight is just different emotionally and spiritually, you know. Me going into the Olympic Games, I was petrified. I was scared, not scared of losing, but scared of not making my mother's dream, come true.
Yeah.
And literally letting people down, the world down, and not winning that gold medal. So it was a lot of pressure, but yeah, every fight I took it differently. Every fight I was preparing for it mentally, like, okay, I can take this guy on. Let me beat this guy one at a time. Let me just knock him down, one at a time. And if I get to the gold medal, great. If I don't, then, basically my life is over.
Right. Now, how much of an impact, technical-wise, really being a natural lefty, but shifting to that orthodox stance, how much did that really help you think, in the long run with your jab and having that as a consistent go-to? Tell me from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, great question. People don't know is that I started fighting southpaw when I was 5 years old. And the first ever trainer I had, it was so difficult for him to train me. He tells me, why don't you just switch over to orthodox and you can, and I'll train you. And I'm like, okay. So now my power punch is in front of me, my left jab, my left hook. And so that was like a blessing in disguise. Look, I've always said in life, everything happens for a reason. And if I didn't switch over to orthodox, if I didn't go to the Olympics, win the gold medal, it's like, who knows where I would be, because my bread and butter punch was my left jab, was my left hook. I was dominating everybody with my left hand. So, if I was southpaw, it would have been a whole different story.
It's so fascinating because I think you're such a great inspiration. You're the first Hispanic to start a national promotion company. Your business acumen, how much of the success you've had outside of the ring, how much of that attribute, those skills, how much are they combined and really parallel? The same success you had in the ring, does that inform the success you have outside the ring? Because I think a lot of people watching, even if they're not fighters, they can take so many success stories from you because you're just a successful person altogether. What are those parallels?
I always look at a fight, right? A championship fight has 12 rounds. And in every single round, you have an opportunity to win. Whether you get knocked down in the first round or 10th round, you still have the 11th and 12th to win. Yeah, anything can happen in a fight, right? So, I look at life the same way. Life can take you down. Life can has its ups and downs, and you're gonna do well one day, and one day you're gonna not do well. But every single day you have a new opportunity to better yourself, to do the right thing, to do good in business, So if there's adversity in front of you, it's okay. It's okay. You can handle it. You can deal with it. I've been in the ring with the very best, and the way I see it is that if I can get through a few rounds. If I'm losing a few rounds, I still have the opportunity to win because I have 2 more rounds to go. That's just the way I see life and business in general, is that I always have an opportunity to do better, to grow, to become a better person, to become a better, athlete, to become a better businessman. There's always a new opportunity in life.
I love it. Okay, last few things here. To me, what's so crazy is you are the original pay-per-view king. $700 million in revenue for pay-per-view, 4 bouts, over 1 million buys. Before, in a few years ago, Oscar De La Hoya was the biggest sport in Las Vegas. Boxing was the biggest thing. There was no Raiders. There was no Vegas Golden Knights. The way that Vegas has transformed into a sports city beyond boxing, how do you feel about that?
No, I love it. It's great. It's awesome. I mean, it's about time, literally, because I've actually, my first fight here in Las Vegas was, I believe, at the Hilton, underneath a big championship fight, Michael Carbajal versus a Mexican fighter, which was a war. But I was fighting Jeff Mayweather. Wow. On the undercard, Floyd Mayweather's uncle, I believe it was at the time, or his uncle. And I remember Las Vegas just being empty. I mean, there was nothing here. There was no hotels in the Strip. There was, maybe Caesar's Palace, and I believe the Mirage had just opened up, but it was pretty surreal. I mean, it was incredible, and just to see it grow over the years.
Yeah.
I believe I fought at the MGM more than 25 times.
Wow.
And I remember, and I love telling this story. I remember when the great Kirk Kerkorian flew me in his helicopter over the desert, and I remember seeing an X on the desert, and he told me, "Son, this is where you're going to be fighting. Here, I'm going to build the MGM, and that's where the ring is going to be." And sure enough, I fought there like over 25 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What an amazing story. Real quickly, as we're wrapping this up, tell me, as you look back, reflect on your career, to me, I think why you were such a boxer's boxer and why fans loved you so much is because you really took chances, right?
Right.
To have 10 titles in 6 different weight classes, to me, I think the narrative was there was a lot of boxers who didn't want to risk failure.
Sure.
Right? They want to keep that record pristine. They don't want to take chances to get outside of their comfort zone. Why were you so wired differently? Why did you take so many chances with doing that? Because I think that makes you such a favorite amongst people who love the sport.
I think life prepared me to face the very best. I mean, I grew up in East LA, and I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood, man. I mean, there was literally a crack house right in front of my door, where I would have to wake up when I was 10 years old. My father would wake me up at 5 a.m. in the morning to go run before I go to school.
To train.
So I had to literally run. Right in front of these, people doing drugs and still drinking at 5 a.m.
Did you ever have to get into a fight?
No. They actually respected me, and the neighborhood actually protected me, which was incredible.
So you never had a fight?
Never had a fight outside the
ring?
Never did. And so, growing up in those streets, you build character. It teaches you right from wrong. It's pretty incredible how the streets of East LA prepared me to face the very best and not be scared if I lose or win. As long as I can do my best, as long as I can fight hard and leave it all in the ring, I've always felt that I can become a winner, whether I lose, whether I win, whether they raise my hand or not. As long as I try, as long as I just fight as hard as I can, there's no loser. And that's what I tell my fighters now. Look, it doesn't matter. Face the very best. It doesn't matter if you're going to win or lose. As long as you fight hard with dignity, with pride, you're going to come out a winner.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You can't say it any better. The golden boy himself, Oscar De La Hoya, joining us inside the Vegas Huddle. Listen, there's been a golden hue in this room ever since you walked in, and we love it. Oscar De La Hoya, thanks so much for being such a fixture in our community when it comes to sports. It's such a great pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say that I'm becoming a resident of Nevada. Yeah, so
when is that happening?
Hopefully soon. I'm building in Henderson, and so we're excited about that. It's about time.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah,
real quickly, last question. I know documentary-wise, could you just tell me there's something on the horizon that we're very excited about?
No, I'm excited. I actually this morning I just got the link. I've been shooting this documentary for the last 4 years, and I'm excited that it's going to debut, open up Tribeca Film Festival. So
and it's called what?
The Golden Boy,
of course.
But it's going to be crazy because I let it all out. It's so raw and real, and there's no sugarcoating. There's no nothing. Everything is honest, and I just let it all out, and it's a 90-minute piece.
Oh, okay.
On two-part on when I started fighting all the way till now, promoting. So and everything in between, but it's pretty raw.
I like it.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
All right.
I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised.
All right, guys. Thank you for everything you've done inside and outside the ring. It's great to have you here. Guys, the great Oscar De La Hoya, one day soon becoming a Las Vegas Henderson resident with us. We love to have it. Thanks again, Oscar. Next time, make sure you join us inside the Vegas Huddle. You can find us on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Mike Davis. We'll see you next time inside the Vegas Huddle.